right, ladies and gentlemen, it's the part of the show you've all been patiently waiting for. Mike Maahs, play-by-play voice of the Fort Wayne TinCaps, has graced us with his presence here in the locker room. Time for another edition of TinChattin. And Mike, it's a good as we film this, it's Thursday night. The TinCaps just snapped a 7-game losing streak. Our long national nightmare is over. The Fort Wayne TinCaps are finally back in the win column, and hopefully this will get them spurred in the right direction moving forward, right?
Hopefully so. A come from behind, hang on to your hat, 5-4 win over Lake County, snapping that 7-game losing streak, 5 to Great Lakes, the first 2 games of this 6-game series with the Lake County captains. But tonight being Thursday night as we're taping this, definitely a different vibe in the ballpark tonight. There were over 4,100 fans here at Parkview Field. It was a thirsty Thursday, but I think a combination of things. The team was frustrated losing 7 games in a row. I know the pitching staff was frustrated, and we may talk about this a little more later. In the final, or 4 of the 5 losses to Great Lakes, the TinCaps had the lead once in the 6th inning, twice in the 7th inning, and once in the 8th inning, and lost all 4 games. The first 2 games of the Lake County series, it just wasn't good. They lost 12-3 in 1 game, and it just wasn't good. From what I'm told, there was a players-only get-together. I was also told that manager Anthony Contreras talked to the team. Let's refocus. Let's concentrate. Each and every play, each and every pitch. You get the self-belief going. You get a win like they had Thursday night. Hopefully that can be the spark of better things to come.
Yeah, and despite the overall recent struggles, they have continued, for the most part, to score runs. And obviously you saw them, for the most part, in every game in the Great Lakes series. And one guy who has been a big part of the run scoring as of late, Seamus Curran, a guy who 7 runs after tonight's game, had the game-winning RBI on a ground out. Didn't have a hit tonight. Snapped what was a 4-game hit streak coming into Thursday night's game, but still 7 runs batted in his last 7 games. And Mike, he has become a pretty consistent run producer in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah, here's a guy who was initially drafted by the Baltimore Orioles and got as high as low A in the Orioles system, and in late March he was given his walking papers. Cut a deal with the Padres. Let me show myself to you. Let me prove myself. And here he is at high A. And Curran has improved. You know, the numbers don't look good. He's still batting under 200. But as you say, 7 ribbies in the last few games. I believe he's got 1 home run and 14 runs batted in overall. He's getting more action, which means he's getting more at-bats. And that's going to help him in the long run. And at 6'6", 245, he's got the potential to knock one into the treetop seats over in right field. So, again, it's just a matter of believing in himself and going out and doing his thing, and I think things can happen for him on a positive note.
Yeah, certainly has a big bat, showed some thump when he was in the Baltimore Orioles organization, and now starting to show that same thump here with the Padres organization. And on that note, Seamus Curran is our guest in TinChattin this week.
You know, just the first month was kind of slow for me, and then, you know, kind of got in a passive approach, and then the last 7 games got aggressive and, you know, tried to pull the ball or just hit the ball a lot harder, and then, you know, good things happen.
Yeah, I imagine, obviously, you were originally drafted by the Orioles back in 2015, and then you were released earlier this year. When you come to a new organization, a new team, there's probably, do you feel a little bit of pressure to try to perform, and is that a little bit of what you were going through when you first got here?
Well, obviously there's that, but I mean, everyone here has been so welcoming. The coaches, the coordinators, the players. I mean, it's been awesome. I didn't actually have a spring training, so all the guys on the field had like a month to get ready for the season. I had about 7 days. So the Orioles cut me about a week before camp started. And then, you know, I had 3 weeks. I was just training at home, and then the Padres called me maybe the 3rd to last day of their spring training. And because of COVID protocols, teams can't just, you know, give spring training invites. So they called me, or they called my agent, and then they sent me to Arizona for about 8 or 9 days just to get as many at bats as possible, and seeing the ball well down there, and just they sent me to Fort Wayne, and it's kind of like a quick hey, had a year off, now let's go perform. So I'm usually a slow starter anyways. That's just how it's always been. I don't know why, but starting to get in a groove now, and hopefully we can win some games, and hopefully there's playoffs at the end of the year and we can do what the Comets did.
Yeah, I know obviously last year, pretty much all minor leaguers didn't have a season, but if I heard correctly, you were actually dealing with a pretty serious injury at the end of 2019 going into 2020, correct?
Yeah, so I herniated 3 discs, L3, L4, L4, L5, L5, S1. So couldn't really move for about 2 weeks, and then gained a bunch of weight because I couldn't move, and then I was up to 290, and now about yesterday I was around 238. So last summer I was really big into I didn't know if I was going to play baseball again. I just wanted to walk and have a normal life and not be leaning to the side, but a lot of hard work and a lot of credit to my trainers back home, and Jim Maloney and Chris, and they've been awesome. They helped my career, so starting to get hot now, and hopefully keep performing.
When I type in Seamus Curran on YouTube, like all the highlights that pop up, there's some baseball stuff too, but a lot of it is hockey stuff. So I'm guessing you were pretty good at that sport as well. At what point did you decide that baseball was what you were going to pursue instead of hockey professionally?
Probably sophomore year in high school. So sophomore year, being from New England, is usually when most guys either go prep school or public, or they stay public and then do that or play juniors. And prep school really wasn't the route for me. I didn't feel like I kind of wanted to stay home, and I thought baseball was kind of the move. And obviously high school hockey numbers are a lot different from prep school or junior hockey, but for public high school, I had a really good career, and ended up winning a state championship and a couple of regional championships, and then or sectional championships. And I think my senior year I led the state in scoring as a defenseman. So I mean, it's not as good as what my buddies used to do, and in the USHL or prep school, but for Massachusetts high school hockey, it was pretty good.
Yeah, not bad from the sounds of it. I know you said you led the state in goals as a defenseman, but big old guy like yourself, big old defenseman, you had to be a little bit of an enforcer too, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of the guys were half my height, so I mean, it was pretty easy to do that. There wasn't too many 6'5" senior hockey players growing up and where I was from, so it was a little unfair for the other guys, but it was fun.
Yeah. So to word all the teams in the high central, probably don't pick a fight with the TinCaps, because Seamus Curran is not the dude you want to mess with on the baseball field.
I guess the joke was I came a couple of games late because there was that fight with South Bend, and I wasn't there for it. But,
yeah.
We want to play baseball. We don't really want to make this a UFC fight, even though McGregor's coming up soon. That'll be a fun fight to watch.
Our thanks to Seamus for taking some time out of his day to join us in TinChattin this week. Mike got off to a little bit of a slow start, swinging the bat well right now, and you hope that the way he's swinging it will start to rub off on some of his teammates and give the pitching staff some confidence, as well as this team tries to start moving back in the right direction, as we saw when they were on the road trip a couple weeks ago. Mike, they head back out on the road next week. Unique situation up in West Michigan.
Yeah, if you remember, the Whitecaps opened the season here in Fort Wayne in what was supposed to be a 6-game series, but the final game of the series was rained out. And because the trip in early May was the only time West Michigan was scheduled to come to Fort Wayne this season, in essence, the TinCaps lose a home game, the Whitecaps gain a home game. So at one point next week, starting on next Tuesday, the TinCaps will play 7 games in 6 days. They'll make up the game they lost here in Fort Wayne, and they'll take on West Michigan for the second time this year. Then the traditional Monday day off, and then the TinCaps come back home for a 6-game series with first place Dayton the day off, and then Fort Wayne will embark on their second 12-game and 13-day road trip playing at Great Lakes and Lansing. So you stop and think about it. After this series ends on Sunday with Lake County, the TinCaps, if the weather holds out, will end up playing 19 of their next 25 on the road.
Yeah, so we'll see how the Caps fare next week, whether it's a 5-game losing streak, a 5-game winning streak, or anything in between. We'll be back here to talk. Hopefully it's the latter rather than the former. But regardless, we'll be back here to talk about it in TinChattin next week. That'll do it for this week's edition. For Mike Maahs, I'm Peter Hood. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll have more in the locker room coming up after this break.